Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And today we have a brand new speaker to BTO, Zhara Mahlstedt, and we're going to be going deep into reawakening infinite light within. And let me tell you why I invite you to be excited about Zara with us. Um, she works with a number of higher planes of consciousness to ensure a transition from human to superhuman and so that's complete. She consciously is in an avatar state and works specifically on upgrading the coding of the human genome and blueprints. She serves in this lifetime as a light language activator, a psychic channel, and spiritual guide. She's the founder of Life FX Living Water Droplets, a quantum activated liquid mineral to assist mankind and Mother Earth in cleansing, restructuring, remineralizing, and awakening and reawakening the waters. And she's the author of The Heart's Portal, Awakening the God Within to Navigate Beyond the Great Divide into New Earth. And she's just someone that I find who is really connected into a plane of consciousness that I find familiar, but I'm also learning to expand further into and to be in the consciousness of Zara. It just invites this grace and fluidity of what's possible as and I invite you also to get to experience those aspects of yourself in a more intimate and provocative and awe-inspiring way. So again, it's going to be a beautiful conversation today. I hope you all sit back, relax, open to the conversation, and we'll get into Q&A and the special offer a little bit later. And with that invitation, Zara, welcome to Beyond the Ordinary.
Thank you so much for having me here, John. Hi, everybody. It's great to be here.
Mm. So there's so much that you're bringing in. I'd love it if you give a synopsis of how it is that you're working with people and the groups that you're activating and what that entails for them and what is it that you're bringing through that's encoding this new possibility.
Yeah. I work with sound. I work with light language. I work with the infinite potential of the human being. And
Mm.
so when we look at the human being, for example, the coding that's innately within the genome is one of God, of source, of infinite light. It's of a magnificent radiant field that literally just sparks us up. And so when we have access to this, we can have, say, and relay anything. And so what's happened over the course of our history and existence as a species is that we've been disconnected from that. And there are many angles of how that's occurred. We won't go into all of that because that's not where we're going now. Where we're going is we're transitioning out of it. We're transitioning out of the dark ages, so to speak, and we're coming back into the era where we have access to our infinite light. So my work as an activator really is to assist people in recognizing their coding, recognizing that they have all the potential within, and recognizing how to access it and how to use it. So in a nutshell, that's what I do.
When you do that, when you talk about being a light language activator, what does that mean?
I think I'll back it up a little bit. So what happened to me is I'd been on this personal development and spiritual journey for probably 15 years. And it was just, automatic, as I'm sure it is for most people on the call. You just know there's something more, there's something greater, and you just want to access that. And so I was on that, path of really, I think, destruction of destroying what didn't work in my life, breaking up in relationships and moving forward in ways that served the self, right? And we're all looking to do that in some way. And then what happened for me is one day, in the middle of the night, I literally woke up and just had all of this coding being restored in my genome. So I started to see beyond the earth plane. I started to see infinite existence, and it was like this chrysalis was just lighting up inside, and I was in it too. And so what occurred is my my original language. I call it primordial sound because it's what everything I've heard about it is it's the sounds of creation. It starts to get moving the coding that is an innately built within the genome, within the sequence of the genetic structure of the human form. And so that was instantly my first language, and I started to restructure my entire life around that inbuilt purpose that I'm here for. And
Mm,
so when this activation occurred, and it was an activation, it was a very clear genetic code that just signaled, yep, your time's up, your time's here, it's time to get to work. And what happened after that is the rest of the pieces of my life that were out of order, they fell away very, very rapidly. And people would come into contact with me and they would just have shifts. I would, just be
mm,
called to speak to them in light language and in primordial tone, and they would just, everything would just transition and just shift and just flip in their life in a way that restructured them back onto their original path. So many
mm,
of us are here to literally awaken the species. We're here to become one with God. We're here to become one with that original version of self that shows us that miracles are possible and that you are it. And so
mm,
everything that occurred from that point forward was growth. And because we're still working with the outdated patterns and programming of the human self and the human consciousness and existence, it was like I was going through this kind of rodeo ride of being in the infinite self, being that spark of light, being in the transcendent state all the time if I wasn't near anyone. And I was just literally in this communion, and still am in this
mm,
communion with the first eternal source light that we are, right? We are this. And then I would come back into the human world. And shift consciousness because I still had to play the mother. I still had to play the friend to
mm,
the people I've known for 30 years. And so it was a very warped field of energy for a while because I was, how do you integrate these two levels of being? How do you become one with who you are, but also let go of what you know, but not let go at the same time? And so what occurred for me is it just was this process of really becoming one with God in this
mm.
existence rather than floating off and needing to be, in the stars and in space all the time. And what occurred from that point was really learning how to heal. How do you make sense of existence where there is so much darkness, across the world, where there is so much trauma, where there's so much chaos? And how do you actually make sense of that and heal it in your own heart and your own life? Because it is just a reflection, right? It's a reflection of who we are as that infinite being. So I don't remember the question, John. Sorry, I got carried
No,
away.
I really, no, I think you answered it, and I really appreciate it because you're igniting um, my own journey and a story that I think is relevant for today's call because I know you're guiding us into this. It's just so perfect. It's when that codex came in, there was an activation for me. There was a signal that came in that activated that codex awakening up within me. So very much like I was very capable of living out here and being connected, but then I had this very human experience trying to fit in, not embracing my sensitivity, my empathy, trying to like navigate all that. And it was hard and it was heavy. And there was a particular point where things started coming online, like the calling just came in. I can hear a signal just kind of beeping in the field. But then a profound synchronicity came in where I was taking through the deepest forgiveness process that I'd ever experienced in my life, ever. And when I went through that cathartic experience, and it was, comparatively speaking, it was quick and it was sober. It wasn't plant medicine or anything else. I was actually guided through this level of where I felt this armor just falling off of me through this initiation. And when that fell off, it's like the dam broke open and that codex got activated. And it's like almost like I had new walking papers and new capacities that I glimpsed before, but that became more embodied and more active in the way that I was guided to live my life from every day forward from there.
Mm. And I think that's what you're touching on, the forgiveness aspect. And that's the
Mhm.
biggest part of activating the full potential of the human reality is understanding that we are all one, and that you are just a reflection of me, I am just a reflection of you. And so anything that comes up that we see within another is really something deeply seated in the self, and we have to move through that. We actually have to travel through that pathway to find what that is for us. And, and that's a big deal for most of us who've been trained to blame, shame, or judge. And if we're still in these energy bands, we don't access that true portal of forgiveness. And forgiveness, for me as well, it's been an interesting ride to see, I've had experienced a few experiences of just extreme betrayal. And with that betrayal came the most golden gifts of light I've ever experienced, because I was able to see the mirror. And it was like, in both experiences, I forgave. I did the typical human forgiveness process, completely understood from the mind and the soul what was going on. These were lessons. Yes, totally get it. I get my part. I get your part. We were helping each other grow, and I could see that. But the real aspect of forgiveness came for me when I understood that it was me reflecting back. So I had this one experience where it was like the forgiveness process happened, conversation happened, all of that happened. But for a week or so, I just still had this yucky feeling in my body. And
Mm.
something didn't feel right. And so finally I asked, what's required to shift the energy in my body? And I heard self-forgiveness. And it was this bright light just washed through and took every ounce of that energy away. It was
Mm.
one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had, because it was literally from darkness to light. And the entire system and the entire framework of my operating system changed. And I don't know how we access that if we don't go through processes where others do us harm.
Mhm.
I really don't. And this is probably the biggest angle which we can speak into right now, is where others are doing us harm, what we perceive as doing harm is just a gift to get us on track. It's just a gift to get us back to that portal of who we are
Mm.
as source light. So it's a fun ride if we're willing to embrace it, and we're willing to step out of that game where we think we are separate from each other.
Mm. There's an amazing teacher that comes through, and part of what he shares is that what you condemn condemns you.
Mm.
What you damn damns you. What you hold in darkness holds you in darkness. And it's the realization that it's a shift of understanding and perspective. It's one thing to talk about that, but how do we actually embody that to carry that forward? Because we can talk about forgiveness all day long. People can go through forgiveness practices, but if we're just doing it because we're trying to relieve something out of comfort within ourselves and it's not really penetrating the foundational truth, then it's just an exercise in futility, truly. How do we get to that point where we're actually hitting the depth of the reinterpretation of that energy so that we can bring it into the light?
And that is the question of the day. And we have to dive into the discomfort, dive into the places we do not want to look at, dive into these areas and these shadows of darkness within our own soul, within our own self. And
Mm.
like you said, anywhere we point the finger, we're pointing the finger back to us. And this aspect of realization that we really are in a holographic realm where we're all projecting imagery into the field based on what we think, based on what we see, based on our perception and our mind curves, that will get you everywhere. That will get you
Mm.
home. So as long as we are willing to take 100% responsibility for everything that shows up, then we can begin to access, harness, and use infinite light in a way that's going to serve us best.
Mm.
And that's really my job, is to teach people the steps on how to get there and how to transition out of these old world grids, these old world energy centers and alignments that we've had, into that new earth resonance and frequency, where we're really embodying the creator aspect that we are. Um, so it's fun, and it's also not for the faint of heart, because you have got to face your demons, you've got to face your shadows, you've really got to come to terms with what you've done, not what someone else has done, but what you've done in history. And that's not easy for most of us. So when I see people going through these processes of real deep integration and change, they're experiencing the grief, they're experiencing the loss of civilizations, the loss of tribes, the loss of, of empires and those that they may have taken part in. And they're feeling that pain of the world, and feeling the pain of the world isn't necessary for eternity. You can feel it once, you can feel it for 5 minutes, and then
Hmm.
you can be done with it. So it's not like, the shadow work and the processing the pain has to take an eternity. It doesn't. It's something that can be very quick, as long as you are willing to recognize it. And
Right.
and that's where we can really go in the calls that we'll talk about. And that's what I feel like my gift to give is to the world, is to just take people deep very quickly. Let's feel it, and then let's move beyond it. And you're capable of everything. And then once we recognize who we are from a cellular structure out, then we can start to create the miracles, and we can start to create the magic that actually, works for us.
Hmm. Yeah, explain a little bit more about the energetic grid lines around the human and you know in the human, but also surrounding the human as well.
So grid lines are very interesting. They're finely tuned webs of energy that focus on resonance or vibration, and that's how we link. So we'll link into other grid lines within another human form, within another civilization, within another timeline, with another parallel world. We can look outside of this own physical form, our own energy body, for as long as we want. And we can talk about Atlantis, we can talk about Lemuria, we can talk about the off-world civilizations, because we are connected, right? We are absolutely connected, and these will reflect and refract back to us what we need to see from them. But until we get to the grid lines and the energy centers of our own human body, we're kind of missing the point. So
Mm.
yes, well, we're going to get a lot of education and knowledge and information from the grid lines and the resonances that we're feeling from these other worlds. When we look at the grid lines within our own body, then we're then we're on, because then we recognize that we're restoring infinite light within. And if we can understand how the grid lines are out, call them energy passageways, right? And if we understand how they're out and how they've been functioning in a very limited capacity, we can learn how to tune them back in where they access the heart. And when we go into the heart's depths and the heart soul and use our grid lines to actually steer clear of currents of this changing world and universe, and just directly back into that infinite source light, then we've got a pathway to transition out. So long story short, grid lines are just finely tuned webs of energy that will connect you and interconnect you with everything in existence. What
Mm.
you cut and what you grow is up to you. But
Mm.
my work is to really teach people how to follow their own energy lines back to the creator, back to source, back to that infinite existence that we have all come from.
So do you see these lines as different pathways to get to different avenues and they're hard-coded, or do you see these lines as malleable and we can redirect them depending on how we're choo what environment that we're choosing to put them in?
They're all here based on choice. So
Mm.
we choose with our free will, we choose with our thought, we choose with our speech, we choose with how we feel, we choose with how we act. And that will actually restore certain energetic connections, and it will disconnect others. So nothing
Okay.
is fixed. I see nothing is fixed. Everything in time and space can change. And so just because you have a certain orientation one moment does not mean you will have a certain orientation the next.
But we can learn how to redirect those energies to a very specific preference, I'll call it, or ex preference for experience, I guess.
Yeah. Um, redirect towards love is probably the ultimate,
Mm.
the ultimate redirection that we could have. But absolutely, that's what we're here for. That's what this time is for.
And the redirection for love. And
Yeah.
we'll even call it just redirecting to a higher timeline or higher potential. But we'll take baby steps, even though it's all a redirection towards love. But in that, do you find that as we redirect that, there's still like the ripple effects of things getting into alignment, things falling off that don't serve that we still have to have physical experience with as the new line takes form? Or can it be just a quick blip like we've jumped the timeline and the other one didn't exist?
How quickly can you let go?
Hmm. There
That's
you
really the question. How quickly can you surrender? How quickly can you be at peace with what's occurred?
go.
And the
Okay.
more that we hold on, the longer that it takes. So you can transition instantly, and it can also take you years.
How does light language help people to be guided into a particular frequency and resonance when you're activating others through the spoken light language that you bring through? Um, what do you see occurs in the grace of the potential that is offered?
Depends on the person, depends on their soul's evolution, depends on where they're at and what they're willing to embody. So if someone's willing to embody it all, we go there and they just start to see their life take shape in a completely different angle and from a completely different lens. And if they're ready to really embody that full creator coding within, they just start to come out, they start to play, they start to make miracles and magic just happen, just like this. And if someone's still looking to really make sense of life and what's been holding them back or what's been giving them comfort that they need to let go of, then it's a bit of a slower process. And there's nothing wrong with that because we're all going through our journeys one step at a time. And at that point, we can just assist to let it all fall away.
Hmm.
But and the real magic is just understanding how to work with light, and light is who you are. So how do you work with light and how do you channel energy from your own experience and existence into that greater sense of self and that greater sense of awareness? So what we do is we really work with sound to activate the understanding and the awareness within, shift the genetic coding, and help everything come to light so that we can come to life.
Okay, that makes sense. I want to go back into forgiveness and the process of forgiveness. Th- Do you have something that you can share as far of a process so that anybody who's listening can begin working with the level of consciousness of forgiveness that you're speaking about?
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Who's so who's irking you most? Who's pissing you off the most? Who do you most not like in your life? What do you complain about? What trouble do you have? And who is at the brunt, who is the core of that trouble that we perceive? And if you can
Mm,
find that person, and if you can remove the blame by literally looking at how their aspect of self is reflecting within, you can start to make sense of the universe.
mm,
That's one. So whoever that is your greatest challenge, the deepest bane of your existence, whatever it might be, if you can bring that person to the forefront of your minds right now, and what you'll do is you'll start to actually look at the gift that they are here to bring.
mm,
And so if I take my own experience as an example, I don't have anyone in mind right now, but if I took, let's say an ex-partner, one of my children's fathers, for example, we're both beautiful people, but at the start, it didn't feel like that. So if I take one of them and I put them in front of me and I say,
mm,
okay, how are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this? What else could be done? Then I can start to reflect in the mirror what I see about myself. So if I'm feeling they're unkind, if I'm feeling that they're blaming me, if I feel that they're, being mean or taking this or taking that, I have to look back in myself. Okay, where am I doing that to me, or where am I doing that to others in my life? And, I think narcissism is one of the classic examples, is that we have someone we're considered the victim. But what if we actually took that narcissism and looked at where we were actually operating from that space in our own life? Because we're all doing it to a certain degree.
Mhm.
And I think that it's imperative that we start to look at the reflections in others for what they are, because they're only gifts. No one's doing anything to any of us. We are
Mhm.
literally stepping into that hologram, stepping into that experience to see back for ourselves what we need to see. And if we can do this in a way that really, really works, we are going to have so much light shine from the inside out. Should we go through a very specific process, or do you want just more the overview, John?
Let's go through a process. I think that'd be
Okay.
great.
I think it works. It works really well if we've got a real live example, so we can, if you want to do that with yourself or someone else.
Let's have people raise their hands, and anybody who wants to be guided through the process, this would be a great opportunity to do it. So let me promote a couple of people to panelists, and I'll call on y'all in just a second. I'm just going to promote whoever's raising their hand right now to panelist, and give me a second. And I think it's also wonderful, Zara, because I've noticed when a lot of things pop up on social media, right? Well, the CEO who got fired because he was having an affair with his secretary, or HR person because they were at a Coldplay concert, the political figure, the celebrity who gets caught in something, and we're quick to react and quick to judge and quick to provide something. And for me, it's been a noticing, it's like, ooh, hold on a second. Why am I investing my energy in a judgmental way where it's reducing someone as a human being because someone else told me that I'm supposed to feel this way about them, and I don't really know who these people are. I don't know what their true intentions are. Why am I willing to do that to myself in such a way that I would swim in those waters when I have other waters to swim in? Where would I rather put my energy? And even that is a function of understanding and forgiving myself, and understanding how, and I can say the media is trying to direct me and all the algorithms are trying to direct me, but I'm the one that's choosing to be on the device. I'm the one that's choosing to interact. I'm the one that's choosing to judge. The
and
algorithm
we've
isn't choosing me to judge. I'm choosing to judge,
Yeah, and we've been taught that this is fun, and this is where we need to step back and really assess, you
right?
know, what our values are, what our core beliefs are, what we stand for. Because if we stand for love, if we stand for infinite light, if we stand for self and others, we say, "Oh, kanasita kunayanasya." I'm sorry you're going through that pain, because there's pain there at some level,
At,
and.
a- at a great level, yeah.
And that's the real process of forgiving, is when you can actually look at anyone and say, I'm sorry
Mhm.
what you're going through. Because I know you wouldn't treat me like that. I wouldn't treat you like that. And
Right. Yeah, it's quite profound. And for any of y'all who maybe haven't found someone to forgive, or not quite sure what's coming through, how many times have you looked in the mirror and said something not so great about yourself? Like, what's available? It's, and we all do it in different ways, and we're learning and we're refining and we're uplifting ourselves and other, but this world is in a particular way, and it's like we're you all. I'll say you all, us all, we're really invited to redefine our truth. We say that we're being manipulated and that we want to create a new earth and that we want to create a new reality, but we have to put that new reality into the practice and then be the practice, be the outcome of what's coming available. So these processes that we share on this platform, they're not trivial. They're deep, they're profound, they're meant to be activating. Um, and if you're willing to receive it, not in vain, but to actually put it in action, the shift that you create in your life is tremendous, and the ripple effects that you create because you are that change is profound. So as we get into this process and we go into an example here, I hope that you take this to heart. And I say this with a lot of love, but also for me, there's a severity to it at this moment because we're seeing so many shutting down because they can't find connection. There's a lot of noise, but not a lot of listening. There's a lot of options, but in so many options, the depth that is available is not being chosen. And so I'm inviting you all to choose depth and awareness and love in that and intimacy. Um, and with that, if we will, Zara, let me go ahead and get into a caller here. How about we go with, oh, you're going to say Zara? Is someone's popping out to you?
I'm gonna let you choose.
No, go ahead. Who's popping up for you? I'll let you.
All I was going to say is this is how we change things, guys, by getting real with what's there and not sugarcoating it or trying to ascend without actually looking at the frequency of where we're at. This is how we change it. And this is how we do the work. So let's definitely get into the process. We'll bring up anything that needs to be seen with the situation and the circumstance that you're in with your permission. I'll look at all avenues, all angles, and I'll just tell you like it is. So if you want to hear the hard truth that you're in fight and that you're in flight and then you're not willing to stand in the position of power that you have, if you're willing to go there, then yeah, please raise your hand and let's get going, but we'll go there.
All right. If you're on video, I'm assuming that you want to go there. So, all right. And you know, you called it a hard truth, but I want to reframe that. And I'm just going to, and the truth that's going to liberate you. And so
100.
it's, yeah. And so if you're willing to go there and you're really open to that, we'll get going here. So, Crystal, I'm guided to call on you. Welcome to the call. And Crystal, we'll get you to unmute your microphone.
Hi,
There you
John.
go.
Thank you.
Yes. Welcome to
Yeah,
the
can you
call.
hear me okay?
Hmm.
Thank
Hi,
you. Happy
Crystal.
to be here.
We're just going to activate
So,
you
Sarah,
right away.
just tell me how best to be guided through this process.
Okay, we'll just activate a few grids straight away. We're just going to start to unravel a little bit of the pain around your heart. So if you can start to breathe in and out just through the heart center. And feel the pain and the process that you're in deeply. And where are you at in your existence right now, Crystal? If you have a few words, if you have a few insights that you'd like to share, we're going to get to the bottom of what you see.
Sure. Struggling with unforgiveness and being drawn back into a drama triangle that I don't want to be in.
Okay. Drama is a distraction from who you are. What is more important in your life?
Mm-hmm.
Is it becoming the full creator God that you are here to be? Or is it to fit in with everyone else that just wants to play? You've got options here. You've got grid work that is already aligned, that is already channeled home. You have to walk the path. Your path is very clear. Your purpose is just screaming out to me. And it's to get into this alignment with the rhythm of your own sacred nature. So if you can literally close the door to that energy field, what would that look like for you? And if you want to take a few minutes or a few seconds and just feel or see what changing that timeline would mean, what comes up?
think fear for loss of connection with loved ones. Not enough faith in myself. I could fully shift it, but that reality is just so dense, and I just get married in it since it's loved ones, family that you can't really disconnect from.
So you don't need to change them. All you have to do is change yourself.
Right.
You're not supposed to
Right.
change them. They get to choose where they're at. Your connection to God, self, source, however you want to frame that for you, is so strong that you have no need to do anything other than operate in your full bandwidth. When you're operating in your full bandwidth, in your full existence, in your full speed, you are going to naturally alter the course of events for them. Your only job is to bring yourself fully up to that infinite light that you are. So everything that you feel, think, and see about these people in your life is untrue. They're actually radiant beings just as you. They are beautiful beyond compare, each one of them. And each one of their troubles and traumas creates a level of murk and a layer of density and a layer of existence that you can cut right through as long as you are being true to yourself. This isn't theory, this is fact. I'm giving you fact with who you are and where you're at today. You just have to stay out of their radius. So when your frequency band vibrates here, it will not attract what they're showing you at the moment. It will attract a radiant spark from them. And you're lost in the density, and I can see that, and I can feel that, and I know that. But this is not about them. This is about you. And your light's right here. It's like,
Yeah.
It's going so fast. Do you feel how potent you are? I mean, do you feel how much of an activator you yourself are?
It feels like I'm at like a sound barrier that I need to break through. Like there's just like this final push through fear. And I know all of this is coming up in like a triggers or treasures sense that their drama is just a mirror to me. But it still feels kind of stuck. Like I can't push through fully to the other side.
Okay, do you know what fear is? Fear is actually an interfering frequency. So fear is a frequency band in itself. It's actually got its own radiant source as well, but it's just so far removed. But fear on its own is also infinite light. When it interacts with the human form, it starts to cause discord because we both know that we are at opposite ends of the spectrum and that we're both looking to come home. So fear is something we actually want to let in. Fear is not something we want to push out. Fear is something we want to let in, give a big hug, get close to, feel fully, and we both break through. Fear's existence is actually on the line too. Fear's an actual living organism. That's a whole other conversation. But I've seen it and I've gotten to know it, and it's actually got its own frequency grid, and it's not trying to take over ours. It's trying to use us to wake us up so that we can all get home. So if you know that fear is an unconditional aspect of source love as well, what would you actually do with it? Fear is very real.
Yeah, I would try to invite it in and feel it fully so that it can pass through.
So what if we took a moment right here? Because remember, fear is not outside of you. Fear is also in your heart. It's actually also a part of the eternal self. So fear is something we want to get to know. Fear is something we want to become intimate with. Fear is not something we want to isolate. It's something we don't want. We don't want to push it away. We want to bring it in. So, kunayamana sutta kunayana sya. So we'll walk through a process. Kunayamana sutta kunayana sutta siddhayana siddhayana sutta kunayana sya. We'll start to activate a little bit more of your infinite light. And if you can bring fear close, what would you say to it?
I guess I'm sorry I've been pushing you away for so long. I'm sorry I haven't listened to you.
What does it want to tell you, Crystal?
It's just trying to keep me safe, or help me progress. I don't know. It's hard to translate.
Yeah, so fear's frequency is also leading you home. Fear's frequency wants you to know that you are just as infinite and powerful as it. Its transmission is to get you to wake up and see the power that you have. You've got so much angelic light and this bright shining aura and this crystalline grid line that you're starting to access and you're starting to become one with and really circulate in your life. But if fear doesn't make its presence known to you, fear will take over you all the time. So that's why it's so strong right now. That's why it's so very much in your field, so that you can make friends with it. You can become one with it. You can activate it to work for you. Fear's got its own emotional center. Fear is not troubled. It's just calling you out. You are not weak. You're not unstable. You're not unfit to face the family dynamics. You are able to do it in all your light. And your forgiveness process begins with fear itself. So I forgive myself for thinking I am weaker than it. Fear and I are one. Fear and I know how to work together. Fear is going to propel me to my future. Fear is giving me the kick in the butt that I need to move forward and to face it and to meet it head on. Fear is not scary. Fear is not punishing me. Fear is not hurting me. Fear is making me stand up. Fear is making me take back my life. Fear is showing me the window to my soul. Fear is showing me what aggression is and what punishment is. I'm punishing myself by thinking I'm smaller than it. I'm not. I'm just as beautiful and big and as powerful as what it presents. Fear is helping me home. So if fear was going to use you, why would it use you to collapse when it too is infinite light? Fear is only asking you to open up the window of your soul to something different. What window can you open up? What fragment of self can you take back? What power zone or power center have you forgotten? Do you know the answer to this?
Yeah, I think I do.
How's your voice?
Measured.
How do you feel when you speak?
There's kind of a lump in my throat.
Okay. Can we take that lump out now? All right, we're gonna ask that lump what it wants to say.
That I know what I need to say and what I need to do, and it's just a matter of doing it. Mhm.
So just follow me, just kind of play with that just a little bit, play with the energy field. Let's just take fear out of the voice. And a big inhale, then exhale when you're ready. And what is it that you need to say to your family and friends?
I love you. I can't be in the middle of this anymore. Not my responsibility.
And you say that clearly, you say that once. And then you walk away from the drama and you hold your head up high and you love them for who they each are outside of that game.
Right.
They're all beautiful. They're all absolutely stunning. They're all magic in their own right. You just say it from your heart, speak it with authority. Say it like you mean it. And then you walk away. And then you interact with them on your terms, not on theirs.
Right.
They're always going to buy into drama because that's how they've been trained. When they see you operate differently, they're going to see there's another choice.
So Zara, how does this play into forgiveness and the forgiveness process?
If you know who you are as God, if you know who you are as infinite light, as that full spark, that full source, that full magnificent radiant being, you'd never look at another person in your life and say they're inadequate or blame them or judge. You just become that which is your gift so that you can light up their life. They're all magnificent, every one of them. The people who give us the most pain are the ones we most need to deeply cry for. When we cry for them, we cry for ourselves.
Yeah.
And if that's that, then we shouldn't be afraid of them. To speak our truth, if we see them as such beautiful lights and we know that, why do we tremble to speak our love? Old conditioning. Doing it differently. Crystal, as you're approaching them to talk to them, I would recommend that you role play with somebody else what you're planning on saying so that you can hold it more steadily. It's not brand new. Even if you just speak it in the mirror to yourself and practice it a few times, it allows you to ground it and stabilize your field as a practice, which is beautiful. And that's a loving, compassionate thing that you can do for you because we're experts at knowing love. We're just not so experts at practicing it as well as we could. So to practice it and study it and because we feel our truth as we speak it more and more. And that amplifies our field and it becomes more steady. And so how wonderful. Something that I noticed that stood out for me also, Priscilla, and I'll invite you to maybe speak this in front of the mirror as you're saying your apologies to fear. I'm sorry I pushed you away. I was just trying to keep you safe. And it could be the obvious that I'm speaking, but I'm going to speak it anyway because it's out of love as well. That's a conversation that you were having with yourself as well, not just fear. I'm sorry I've pushed you away. I was just trying to keep you safe. And the lightness that comes in, the awareness, the amplification of your own light quotient activated because we're not repressing it. We're not trying to push it away. We're acknowledging the truth. That is the truth. That is the truth. And in that lump in that throat can't be diminished or can't diminish the light that's coming through you. It's a powerful activator for that lump to not have to be the inspiration that's reminding you that you're pausing, hesitating, holding back your light, holding back your love for others and for yourself. Um, this is beautiful. Y'all, there's an opportunity to go into these deep processes and so much more because on the special offers, there is offering live calls of our live activations and attunements and light language. What I really appreciated about this is that I felt it rippling for all of us here on the call. As Crystal, you stood for all of us to demonstrate what was possible. So thank you for your courage and blessings. You've got this. You got this.
Thank you so much.
So much love, Crystal.
Yeah.
Thank you, Zara. Thank you, John.
Yeah, you're so welcome. What I want to do, I want to take some more Q&A in a little bit, Zara, because it's just the deep processing that the deep attunements that you're offering are wonderful. Again, I feel the ripple on the call. So we're going to get into some more Q&A here in a second, but I do want to go into your special offer because, again, the opportunity to go deeper with you. On these type of calls and to get into a coherent field of amplification is remarkable. So y'all click on the special offer button right underneath where you're watching the call from, either live or on the replay if you happen to be on the replay. If you're watching the replay from YouTube, look in the comments section. You'll see the link for the special offer there as well. And the link is also in the chat box, y'all, if you can't find it anywhere on any pages where you're watching from right now. And Zara, if you would, let us know what everybody's going to be participating in when they go deeper into the offer with you.
Thanks, John. And thank you, Crystal. That does take a lot of courage to really go through the process. And just as you activate your voice, it'll become easier. So just get to know the process. So the Infinite Creator calls are these really magnificent call series. It came through one day, maybe a year ago, just to really activate people's space so that they can take back control of their life and their physical functioning. And so what we do on the calls, we go 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Australia. So that would be Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, US time. And what we do is we just literally activate the cellular grids, bring up what needs to be seen, and then process it on the call together. So my experience with it is everyone's in the mirror, right? We're all in the field for some reason that's very significant together. And these processes will happen at kind of light speed. They happen very quickly. It's up to you in the in-between time to process it fully. So before the calls start, we'll really talk about some techniques with the breath, talk about how important it is to ground with nature, and we'll go deep when we're together in those 30-minute time periods. So again, that's 3 days a week, 30 minutes per call, and we usually end up a little bit over time, but 30 minutes per call, and then that's for 3 weeks. So 9 calls in total. And during that process, we look to activate a very specific intent. Everyone's intent will be different, but for some reason, they're all coming together and coalescing as one. So you want to be ready for radical shift. You want to be ready for radical change. You want to be ready to forgive, to heal, to really process what's been coming up for lifetimes. So if you're stuck still in these shadows of grief, doubt, fear, abandonment, betrayal, whatever the energy form might be, the beginner calls are great. And I use two different calls, beginner and then intermediate advanced. And it's not because anyone's more or less or anything like that. It's just where we're at. So if we're still in the shadow phase where stuff is really up and we're still in that deep grief process and looking for that connection, the beginner calls are awesome. And sometimes, and again, we just go with the field. So sometimes the energy is just present and we work with it. Sometimes we work with an individual, depending on what we want to see. And then the intermediate advanced calls are for people who've really already gone through that process of grief, gotten to the deep forgiveness, gotten to that deep understanding of who they are, and they're just ready to make magic. And we just start to tune everything up. There still might be little edges that we're working around, but we're really amplifying the field so that we can be that magic that we're here to be in the world. And it shifts timelines. It really shifts the constructs of the worlds that we create. So that's the most important thing that I think we can all get from these, is to get very clear on what it is we want to create in our life and in the world, because this is, of course, the ripple effect going out. So your magic is your magic, but it's also contributing to the whole.
What shifts have you perceived in people who've been participating on these calls?
It depends where they've been at, but I've had people really be able to step out of a relationship that doesn't work and really reevaluate, reassess, have the confidence to move forward and to change lanes completely, which has created lasting and magical relationships in other forms. We're able to deconstruct in a way that actually serves the person rather than just having things fall apart and then needing to pick themselves up. But it's a very step-by-step approach. Other people have just come to terms with grief and have moved forward into the infinite light realm, so they can actually see themselves very clearly, start to access their own innate abilities, and start to process the pain beyond the mind. And so when we process the pain beyond the mind, we're actually integrating it deeply in the self. And that's a very, very real biological rhythm that starts to occur. And when you start to turn on those, let's call them cell centers, they start to actually allow rivers and currents of energy to flow in from the external world, so to speak. And when you're starting to access that external flow of energy that you are, then you become this bridge for worlds. And that's where we're looking to transition into New Earth. We're actually trying to become it first, or not trying, but we are looking to become that first ourselves, so that we then set the frequency and the resonance of magic and love and beauty and light for what we want to achieve as a collective and for the species.
Yeah, I really appreciate you bringing that into life, because for me, it also brings in, as we're reattuning into the grid that is activating that greater light quotient within us. There's a lot on these calls and different communities that I'm involved with, people seeking to be of service, to activate a greater potential, to live more in passion, spoken in different ways, to release something or get out of some glass ceiling that they feel pressed under. And it's not about the outside coming in to relieve them of that. It's really about reattuning into what's available within us. And then those things unfold. What I am finding, more particularly in the field of creation, as we're getting to know our God creator selves, is that we're creating even under the glass ceiling. But what ripple are we putting out into the world if it's coming out in limitations? So our greater sense of purpose, our greater service or mission that we feel that we're here to experience and to partake in, won't be completely given to you, because that's like giving, a racing car to a kid who just got his learner's permit.
Exactly. And
And
that's it. We're learning to grow up. We're learning
pretty
to grow,
much.
and starts with forgiveness. It starts with understanding the reflections in the field. And you just hit the nail on the head, John.
And attuning to it. So it's amazing that all this is becoming available. And again, we're learning about the most beautiful thing in this world, which is about ourselves.
And
And
compassion and forgiveness go such a long way in actually
absolutely.
allowing and recognizing that frequency of who we are as a collective. And that's my real
Yeah.
intent. It's to
And when we
understand.
can understand the preciousness of this, we understand the preciousness of everything else, truly, at its core. And when we understand that, worlds change dramatically, dramatically. And so we're getting to, so again, to be in a coherent space where this is allowed to refine and polish into that crystalline, prismatic light energy that is available to you. Your world shifts, our world shifts, worlds change to experience more of the miracles that are here. We're just attuned slightly in other directions, but we bring that perception home. And again, worlds shift in your reality, in your perception, in your creations. It's powerful. So again, y'all, the special offer is really special. It's only $97 to go into these calls with Zhara and with the light language, the shift in energy, the perspectives, the self-forgiveness that comes in. They're powerful calls. And I'm excited to be able to bring it to you on BTO. Zara's the first time speaker here. So I hope you all take advantage of it. And it's there. Again, the special offer link's in the chat box, and it's also underneath the video where you're watching the calls from. And on YouTube, you can find the link in the comment section as well. And Zara, with that, I'd love to continue with some more Q&A.
Or let's go.
All right, let's open it up. So first question I want to take, one that came in from Catherine. Catherine wants to know, how do you know whether to just forgive or to actually let them go because they're holding you back?
Great, great, great question, Catherine. Sometimes we do need to walk away, and that doesn't mean we don't go through the forgiveness process itself. But when it comes to whether or not you let go and literally turn the other cheek and disappear from their lives and vice versa, it will be a process of you and God consciousness, right? So if you're not willing to make the step, if you're not willing to leave because there is some form of an attachment, what will happen is it will be made for you. So you can be certain that you're not making any mistakes ever. Your higher self will always get you on track. And if someone is perpetuating harm to self or another, it is definitely time to intervene. So if you're in a relationship or some field of violence, absolutely, you must move forward on your own. And I think that's very important in this, actually in this call, is just to understand, yes, we forgive, and yes, we make peace, and yes, we let go. But if there is an area in your life where someone is literally perpetuating harm, or you just have the energy that, yeah, you know what, this isn't right anymore, absolutely. But you walk away with open arms and the I love you, and it may not be a spoken thing, but at least you feel that in your space.
Hmm. I have to ask you, Zara, though, because there's, again, abusive households or they're notorious. It's and we can go to spousal abuse as very specific, where the spouse is aware that it's not supposed to be happening. There's fear, there's no alignment, but there isn't an action taking ability to really move forward. There's a fear to live. There's a fear of repercussions. There's a fear of the unknown. There's just not there's like soul loss that has
Yeah,
taken place, kind of like a horse that's been broken that doesn't know it can hop over the fence anytime it really wants to.
yeah.
And that might be a crude experience, but it's one thing to say to choose it. It's another thing to actually embody the choice and to walk forward. And how do we overcome those subconscious hurdles?
Look, I think it really depends who you are, because each person's process will be different. If you know someone who's in that situation, it is your duty to help. And how deeply you help will be based on, of course, your own alignment. But even just saying the word, hey, I think you need to get out. That can be enough to trigger a cascade of events for that person in their life. Um, and we can't condone violence. So if you're in a situation or a relationship where violence is erupting, whether that's in physical action or in words and emotions, it's your responsibility to take care of yourself and to
Mm,
take care of the other. Because if you don't take care of yourself in that process and you allow someone to continue to control and rule your life, you're telling them that's okay, and that's actually detrimental for their own evolution and their own process. So
mm,
I know there's ways to get support. You can reach out to a friend, you can reach out to those domestic violence agencies, situations where you can actually go. I know people in New Zealand who run an incredible house, like halfway houses, where they don't just take care of women, they nurture their family back to life. But you have to get out, you have to go. You cannot stay in a trap, because that's a trap
mm.
not just for you, it's a trap for the other as well.
So that's that deeper level of it, and I'm glad that you addressed that. Thank you. And then there was something that was in the question also is how do I know whether to stay or to let go of someone that's holding me back? And again, anytime we're saying someone is holding us back, we have to look at ourselves. Where am I choosing to hold myself back? And
Yeah.
always looping back to us in some way.
Yeah.
And
And
that's when we can get into compassion for self. That's when we can get into forgiveness for self. I didn't know until I knew, but once I knew, then what do I do with that? And that's really where we're like, oh, okay, I'm calling myself out now because it's time to take action.
I agree with you, John. I don't think anyone's ever holding us back. I think we may place ourselves in situations or in containers where we can't be as free to move. But that's not anyone else's responsibility. That's our own responsibility. And to take responsibility for that's a big deal, because it means, oh, maybe I created or started something that actually doesn't work for me. And then you have to face it, and you have to face the repercussions of that. So, um, that said, sometimes it's just the internal shift, and then everything will just come to life, and a situation will change or a relationship will change. But other times it is taking that step out. And, we can always take a break. We can
Mhm.
always take a break. Decisions don't need to be made hastily.
Yeah. Well, there's collective decisions that are affecting all of humanity.
Hmm.
Where we have abandoned ourselves, where we haven't shown up, where we've known the effect of long-lasting choices or long-held choices, and then it's like, oh, hold on a second. We're going to suffer the consequences of choosing long-term comfort over short-term solutions that may have been uncomfortable that would have provided something far more profound in potentiality had we not waited so long. And so now the levels of discomfort because of the weight become that much more greater because we're hoping something will come across and save us. And again, the second coming isn't a figure that's coming down. It's within us. It's within us.
And this is a good point to maybe talk about quickly as well, is yes, we have the internal work is where it's at. The internal work is the only space where we truly make the change and the collective shift. But some of us are here to stand up. Some of us are here to say no. Some of us are here to say, absolutely not. This is not acceptable for ourselves and our children and our future generations. And that's a huge one, because you're going against a whole society and system
Mm,
that is morally corrupt. So yeah, so if you do have a call, and if you do have an internal energy that says, yes, I am supposed to lead, and that lead means, joining in and I'll put it in quotations, fight. Please reach out, because like that's, you're the type of people that I really want to support, because your work is
mhm,
needed, but you have to come from the space where energy is just flowing through you and rushing through you, and you're not in the game. To
mhm.
be above the game and participate in the game is where it's at.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. You're being called to the big leagues. We all are. And to play at that level, which is amazing and exciting. All right, so Natalia is asking a couple questions. If the
Okay.
special offer, is it just for beginners or is it for advanced? And are there replays available if someone misses the calls?
Thank you for that question. Yep, we're doing 2 calls. So they're back-to-back calls, beginner and then an intermediate advanced. I think Chris has got the links for each when you do the registration. And then yes, if you can't make the time on any of the days, there are recorded. So each session will be sent via email after the session to re-listen and reply. And there's so much gold in there that you can take these energies and you can run with them in the moment, or they might settle in, they might take a few weeks, and then you might actually even re-listen in a few years and get even more and more and more out of it.
Wonderful. All right, Natalie, thank you for asking. I hope you participate. And let's continue now. Let's go to is it Manon? That might be your last name. I'm not sure if it's your first name, but Manon, welcome to the call.
Thank you. It's Manon. It's first name.
Anon. Oh, welcome, Anon.
Thank you. I was going to ask, I realized that a lot of the things that happen in my life is because I've been programmed to keep me small. So, and I posted a question about bodily pain. I keep creating pain in my body.
Can I ask you something, Manon?
Sure.
Okay. What do you love about this life? What do you love?
What do I love about this life?
Tell me what you love about this life.
That it's so expansive. There's so much to, well, when you can experience and enjoy.
So if there was something that would bring joy to your mouth, so we're raising a smile right now, what would that be?
That I could move freely, I could run around, enjoy doing things that I used to enjoy.
I think that you're going to find a lot will come from appreciating each part of your body that works well. So if you can drop into the frequency of appreciation for what's going right for you, even if it's just a little glimpse, I think you're going to find you hit a sweet spot where things are going to transition and things are going to feel easier and things are going to be easier because you're going to believe in the power of the potential of the creator that is inside you. You're going to start to get glimpses. And so take those glimpses and make them count. Thank you, hair. I really love how you feel on my head today. Thank you, ears. Thank you, ears, for hearing. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, nose. Thank you for being on my face. Thank you, cheeks. Thank you, me. And just starting that process, and it may not come super easy at first, but I think you're going to start to find you'll appreciate and you'll get some joy back for your life as it is. And that is the key to transitioning out of a lot of the stuck that we feel, regardless if it's in body, in physical pain, or in some other area of our life.
So it's not karma, or it's not punishing myself that I've created all these things.
You're not punishing yourself one bit. The only thing that will lead you down that track is if you recirculate the thoughts and the mind around it. We're looking to get out of that energy trap. Your karma has nothing to do with who you are and what you are today unless you let it. So again, it's your choice.
Who told you it was karma?
Well, I've been told that I had past life, that I wasn't a good person, or maybe I did something wrong early in life, or yeah.
I love what Zara's sharing because and I just want to offer this because somebody interpreted that from something that they read in the field. And okay, what do you believe yourself to be in this life? because everything about past lives we bring forward into this lifetime as accumulated wisdom and
Mm,
experience.
mm,
So let go of the past. It's what are you choosing to do with everything that you've got?
yeah. Well, my biggest thing is the fear and also playing small. I'm realizing that maybe my soul wants me to experience all this stuff to know how magnificent I am. So
Yeah.
maybe all,
Gunayana, Gunayana.
yeah.
You're onto it. Yes. Your
Beautiful.
soul wants you to go like this. It wants you to open up the blinds so that you can actually see. Because you've been
Mm,
seeing from a distorted lens that most of humanity is trapped in. There is a
mm,
completely different layer of consciousness from which we can view life.
mm,
And that
Mm.
consciousness is actually, it's open to you right now. So start to take the step to appreciate the beauty of your energy and your field and your alignment and your being, because you are gorgeous. Gunayamana Sutta Gunayana. Just absolutely incredible, Menon. And you
thank you
have
Beautiful.
to
so much.
feel that, okay? All right.
And thank you for asking questions and allowing me to, give response, because you hear all these things and you keep yourself in not a good place. So
Mm. Blessings, Manan.
thank you.
Thank you for coming on. And I have to acknowledge, it hurts when I contract myself. It hurts when I try to keep my light in and compress it for the sake of I don't know what. Fear, acceptance, wanting to be loved, not judged, fitting in. All these different reasons why we do it, but man, it gets exhausting and it starts hurting and my body starts aching and then I can't sleep and then I wonder why I didn't and all these other things that just compress me even more. And then it's just screw it. It hurts too much. I'm just gonna let it out. And we go through ways like, God, this feels amazing. It's like, yes, and all that. And we're tuning to that. And thank goodness that we have those who hold the resonant signature of what's available. Those who are holding those lines and that we get to demonstrate it for each other. So, Manon, thank you so much. And Zara, thank you for facilitating that. So beautiful. Uh, let's take another caller. Charlene, let's go to you. Welcome. Manon, blessings, love. Charlene, can you please unmute your microphone? Nope, still muted. Let's see if we can help you a little bit over there. Nope, I'm still reading lips. We'll get there.
There. It just had a different, it
We got you,
gave me
love. Yeah,
3 ways
welcome.
to do it. Okay. Okay. Oh, you guys, literally, I was just praying to speak with people that knew the language of my heart. And it is such a joy to find you. Thank you so much.
Oh, kanasita kumayana sitayana siya. You are so welcome. You're so gorgeous.
Do you have a question, Charlene?
Well, I'm a very multidimensional individual. And lately, I've been feeling like I'm in more than one. It's not a reality. It's not a life. It's not a dimension. Maybe it's a frequency. It's like I can't quite, my gauge isn't turned right. My dials aren't spinning properly. It's like something is not on focus. And it fills me with so much fear and doubt and questions about the purpose of my life. And I'm already 70. I have achieved many of the beautiful creations that I wish to do in my life. I did not have biological children. I have a really great dog, though.
So what's your question, love?
It's about that. Is that a channeling thing? Is it that I'm being called to relax more and actually do more traveling in these dimensions? Or is it a weird, because it's kind of like not being able to get a clear picture on your TV only it's my consciousness.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
I'm feeling you, Charlene. You just have to take back your power center. I'm seeing your angles just slightly off. It's like, if you're tuned to 0 degrees, you're just tuned to like -1. It's not very much. So if you just recenter and refocus your energy field and really start to expand the heart space, tune everything else out other than the magnificent creator being that you are in every moment, you're going to find your world shifts. So your focal point will take you everywhere. It will take you anywhere. So where has your focal point been? And where do you want your focal point to be? Just look at your focal point.
So those are the questions to
Ano
ask,
susunod na siya.
or should I speak that to you?
Just your focal point. No, you're just going to focus on your focal point. Focal point,
Okay.
focal point, focal point. That's the only energy for you today. It's like focus on what you want. Because
Okay.
your trajectory is already there. Just focus on what you want. Don't ask too many questions about where you're going, where you've been. Just, okay, this is where I'm at now. This is where I want to be. Focus.
It's that simple, Charlene, and that hard also.
Well, there's the question of where do I want to be? What do I want to focus on? That the power of choice or the point of choice, and to know what to focus on. Or
Well, what if you just focus on where you want to be today, not about where you want to be 5 years from now? And allow that to be your practice.
And if Charlene, if you are lost for words for exactly where to focus at any point in time, you can just stick with love, 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 and then you can rearrange everything else around that. But it's a good point, because when we come to these spaces of being where we really have infinite choice and we have the ability to create whatever it is that we want in like a very magnificent setting, which is this earth plane, it can get a bit overwhelming. So you don't necessarily need to decide today. But love for anyone who's like, oh, okay, it's opening up. Love is just it's a good baseline resonance to aim for.
okay,
Trajectory to start.
okay. Well, I've just picked up a copy of Plato's Symposium, and in it, I'm learning that Socrates learned about love from a woman called Diotima, and the concept of agape love, which is that like brotherly love or sisterly love or love that is not sexually based or gender, I don't know all that confusion. And that was like 500 years before Christianity. I'm sorry. I still have some peeves, just like little peeves. My apologies. And Cosmo really wants to take him outside.
Charlene, thank you so much. Blessings to you.
Charlene, thank you. Lucia.
Oh my God, we're close to the top of the hour, but I'm guided to take one more caller. You mind if we take someone else?
Yeah, sounds great.
Paula, let's go to you. Welcome, Paula. And as Paula's unmuting, I have to reiterate, when the realm of all these different potentials opened up for me, very particularly a few years ago, it was a little chaotic and confusing because, again, so many choices, and to get into a place of grounding in, of anchoring and attuning was a process. I think that process is speeding up for many people now during these times. It's super important. So I can so relate to that. And I also have to share the concept of focusing on love also, because they say that the great masters, when they meditated, their meditation was shining all this love on God. It was love for God, love for the divine source, love for the universe. And that was, they weren't trying to get anywhere in meditation. They were in the amplification of love towards the divine. And in that was their place of solitude and peace and restfulness and connection. It's profound. So I love that you took us there. Um, Paula, I see you're unmuted now. Welcome.
Sorry, thank you. Um, I kind of have some of my questions have been answered through the other callers, which I always love the
Mhm.
synchronicity and the way that that works. Um, I guess my big question is just looking at like beginner versus intermediate and advanced. I feel like all of a sudden things are really shifting quickly for me, but now I'm at a place where I feel kind of very like in between, and I don't really know if it's like if I'm advanced, if I'm at a pause.
Mm.
If you're going to join the calls, go intermediate advanced, because we can rewind everything that you're experiencing right now very quickly and jump you to that next timeline and that next frequency band. So you're doing really well. Just don't rush the process. Sometimes the process is the process is the process, and you just
Mhm.
want to relax.
Yeah, okay.
Just want to relax. Mind, body, spirit, soul. Take a deep breath. There's no advancement that happens unless we actually chill out.
Which is sometimes challenging for somebody who just wants to go be there, done, like get on
And I
with
think,
it.
yeah, and John, we talked about this earlier before we hopped on the call. That process of stopping,
Mhm.
so important to be, to actually be rest, to be pause, because the answers come in the spaces in between. They don't come in the rush. They don't
Mhm.
come in the do. And so when we stop and pause, that's when we can reach our greatest elevation. That's when we can have our greatest mastery appear. Is when we're not doing a thing, not trying to be anywhere, be anyone, do
Mhm.
anything. It's just it's when you let the nervous system let go, unwind, so that it can recalibrate for you.
Yeah, that whole process of being for some reason feels so uncomfortable for me. And I guess maybe that's the part that I'm trying to understand is like, why does that feel so uncomfortable?
Because it's your greatest growth point. Your greatest growth point is stillness. That's where you're going to achieve everything you want to see.
Mhm.
Mm,
And when something's uncomfortable, that's when we've got to lean in. We've
Do
got
you
to
think
run.
it's a function? Do you think it's a function of trust, Zara?
I think she's trusting. I think she's just not willing to jump into that area that makes her so uncomfortable and feel distorted because it's not what she's used to.
Mm.
She's not used to this. And when we're not used to something, sometimes we don't want to go there. Sometimes it's just programming and patterning. I think she trusts well
Mhm.
enough the universe as one. I actually feel like she's really got that creator capacity and that coding. It's just kind of hovering here, but to lock it in, you gotta stop. And
mm,
just sit down for a minute, and you can do a minute at a time. Don't make
Mm.
it overwhelming. Don't make it distorting for your current life. Just do a minute at a time.
What does a minute of a time look like? What would you suggest? So you suggest she sits in emptiness and stillness. Is there a particular practice that you would guide her into?
Okay, so for Paula specifically,
Yeah.
you can just shut your eyes, close your eyes, take 3 or 4 deep breaths. Feel your field of consciousness as it starts to align. And you're going to find it's much better here than over
Mm.
there. And that's all you need to do, Paula.
mm.
Mm.
3 or 4 times a day to start. And I think you're going to find that you're not going to want to come out of it.
it's amazing, and maybe it's just you and John and all the field here, but when I sit by myself, typically, which I do on a daily basis, I haven't been able to find that point that feels like that till now.
Mm,
And part of that feeling, it does, I think, in some ways, feel so powerful. Like it's maybe overwhelming a little bit, if that makes any sense. To like make it not feel comfortable, right? Because it feels so like, whoa.
You're going to find a lot of greatness in that space.
that's fun. You know, an analogy for you and a playful one. If you're used to shopping at Walmart, the first time you go into Tiffany's feels uncomfortable. But man, the second you start putting on the Tiffany stuff and it feels so good, you start getting used to what's available there and you're willing to deal with adjusting to being uncomfortable because you know the quality of the environment that you're going to be in. It's like you won't go shopping for the same things, all things being equal energetically. You'll choose what's really in greater alignment with you over and over again. The discomfort of the unknown. It's just such a beautiful opportunity to experience a miracle unfolding for us in recognition and our receptivity to love. And that's what we're talking about here. When we choose to allow that love to penetrate us. Amazing. What's there? Keep choosing Tiffany's, Paula.
I love that analogy. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Have fun with it, Komatsia.
Yeah, amazing. Zara holds a powerful field. You can feel it. When I had my session with her and we dropped in, it was just like, thank you, thank you. And the resonance field that gets created and we amplify each other, which is so beautiful. So, Paula, thank you for coming on. Great question. Thank you for slowing down. I felt the peacefulness and the expansion in that. So it was extraordinary. Y'all, the opportunity to go deeper with Zara, to go into the advanced and the beginner sessions, and maybe a little bit of some of it or all of it. Um, it's a really beautiful special offer. Again, it's $97, a two payment option. The link's in the chat box. It's underneath the video where you're watching a call from. So, you know, I'm excited for those of you who are choosing to participate. And Zara, with that, are there any final thoughts or sentiments that you want to drop into the call before we end tonight?
Just be love. That's what we're here for. We're not here to change the world through action, through doing, through speaking. We're here to change it with frequency. We're here to change it with resonance. We're here to change it with the power of who we are as infinite light. So as we each dial up into that energetic grid line that is God, source, creator consciousness as one, we are going to see remarkable shifts on this planet. So,
Beautiful.
it's been a real pleasure, and thank you, John, for having me here. It's been an honor to be on, and I just love everyone on the call. It's been so much fun. Your
It's
energies
been
are
great being with you.
beautiful.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. All right, everybody, blessings, love to you guys. Thank you for being on the call today. Bowing down to you and namaste. And I'll see you all on the next call.